Hi there, my name's Jill Tiny. I'm from Collaboration Global, and this is our podcast, Being Human, Hidden Depths. I'm going to be interviewing some of our members from Collaboration Global, and they're going to be sharing with you their extraordinary lives. Although they would probably believe they're just normal, everyday, average humans, but they are extraordinary. A bit like you and me. We all have our story to tell. We've all been through difficult times, and we've come out the other end having learned an extraordinary amount about ourselves that we can share with others. So I think you'll find lots of things that will resonate with where you've been in your journey as well. I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Hi there, welcome to Being Human Hidden Depths, the podcast that brings you members of Collaboration Global and the odd little guest in between as well. For those of you that don't know, my name is Jill Tiny. I founded Collaboration Global back in 2019, and we are a growing community focused, as you might guess, on collaboration. I am really pleased to say we have a wonderful new member, another marketing guru, which is fascinating because there are so many different ideas around marketing. So I want to unpick this one today as well. Kat, I know you as Kat, but it's Ekaterina Zwyssig. I don't know how.
Zwyssig.
Zwyssig. There's the German influence, and you tell me that you're Russian originally. Is that right?
Exactly, yes.
Well, welcome to the podcast, my darling. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So you are blessed to live in the beautiful city of country of Switzerland, aren't you?
Yes, exactly. It's been 20 years that I'm here in the same town on Lake Geneva, looking at the Alps as I'm speaking to you and the sunset. So no better place for me.
Oh, wow. Wow. I have yet to dip my toe into Switzerland. The closest I've got is probably Salzburg. But yeah, it's one of those places that's always on people's bucket lists. And what you've just described is like, oh, I'm so jealous. It's like, wow, it sounds like heaven. One of our regular members who comes to our sessions is a lady over in Banff. And every time I talk to her, she kind of pulls the curtain back. She goes, well, looking at the Matterhorn, right? Not the Matterhorn. I'm looking at the mountains right now, and it's like, oh. And she, when you're in love with a place, why would you leave 20 years? I mean, it makes perfect sense.
Exactly. You know what my husband said? Apparently, there is a story about Switzerland that God was creating Earth, and he ran out of sort of land, Earth land to give to countries. And then he put a piece of paradise on Earth, and that was Switzerland. And I said, you know what? That sounds quite true to me.
Yeah, it's almost like
that's the origin story.
He pulled it out, didn't he? So many mountains, he just pulled it out of the earth and went, there you go, there's paradise. Enjoy.
Exactly.
If that doesn't make you believe in God, I don't know what does.
Exactly.
So I mentioned already that you're into marketing, but before we get to that, when I say into, probably obsessed by, like a lot of people that are, before we get to that, you've recently joined Collaboration Global a few months in. What kind of attracted you to it in the first place? What was it that kind of made you go, interesting, what's this all about?
Well, I was looking for a community for a while. This actually 2023, the year of the word of the year for me was community. So it was very sort of aligned with that. But I couldn't really find somewhere where I would say, yep, I feel like I belong, or this is a good place for me. And then, well, we connected on LinkedIn and somehow had a call, and you talked to me about what you do. And I was like, that sounds like something I would like to be part of. And yeah, I mean, I was at one of the first meetings that you host, and it was definitely not something that I have seen before in terms of the format, and I just felt very much at ease. And I'm not looking for another networking event where you just sort of do it, sort of slap pitching at each other. So that was something that I really appreciated, and I believe that you can still have a good business while being a person and being a human and really interacting on a human level, because we do like to work with people who are somehow aligned with us, right? So one does not exclude the other. And so that's what attracted me to it. And just the guest meetings that I have been so far, they've been really very insightful. I like the presenters, I like the topics, and then the interactions in terms of the breakouts. And so far I'm very curious, and I'm happy that I'm part of it.
That's cool. Do you know what I love about what you just said is that I was looking for a community for a while. So many people end up in a community by accident rather than design, and they don't take the time to go look and go, does this feel right? Is this a good sort of place for me? Is this going to work for me? They just kind of jump in
into it
and get stuck, basically. And then it's like, oh, well, I'm here now. I'll make the most of it. And to be honest, whatever community you go in, you can make the most of it. You can work the room and make sure that you connect up with people, and you do your very best, and you support and help other people, and everyone loves you because that's what you do, and it does kind of work. But there's a reciprocity that I think is needed, whereby not only are you going in there working your little socks off to get to know people and to help people and to support them, but you know that when the time comes, they're going to do the same for you as well. And I think that's where we kind of shine, in that we want to connect each other up. Excuse me. I'm going to have to let you do most of the talking today. We connect each other up to useful people. I remember Alice saying not so long ago, should I've just looked back over my year, and everyone that's been a useful connection, that's been empowering for me and really good business, has come either directly or indirectly through Collaboration Global. And I said, and that's just one part of what this community is about, which is generally where you go networking for, isn't it? But then there's all the other stuff as well. It's the concern, the compassion, the vision, and the helping people with their mission that I think unites us. Because I've come up with this phrase recently that somebody mentioned, and I hadn't realized it was so powerful, but we are all up to some good. We're not just up to let's make loads of money together. We're up to how can we help each other to be better, to be bigger, to support and help more people. And it's what's beyond, what's that, just outside that comfort zone necessarily, but what's just out there. But we need to stretch ourselves to help
explore
as many people as we can. Exactly. And explore together, because doing it on your own is not so much fun, is it?
And it's for me, it was also about enjoying it. I mean, my time is valuable, so I am very selective in terms of where I spend it, and I would like to spend it here. So here I am.
Love it, absolutely love it. So tell me a little bit about Kat from early doors. I pinched this question from Simon Sinek. I hope you won't mind. But he asks his guests, what's your happiest moment when you were younger, say about 7 or 8 years of age? What do you remember doing that just filled you with joy?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind, that's not necessarily an activity as such, but it's a memory from my 6th birthday that I celebrated in the forest. My parents organized it, and basically it was a forest outside of the town, so we had to take a car, and we had this really old car that was passed down from my grandpa to my father, and we decorated it with like balloons, so people on the streets thought it was a wedding actually. So they were all honking and stuff, and we were, like, I don't know, 5 or 7 girls inside, and all sort of happy. And it was just really cool, because we went to scout for the place in the morning and kind of see where we're going to do it, because my parents also prepared a scavenger hunt for later and all of that stuff. And then we came back like with my guests and just did all these activities. And I remember that we had to like look for clues and stuff, and all of the other guests basically found something in a little present somewhere and guessed all the clues, and I was the only one who didn't find anything.
Oh, no.
And I was on the verge of crying. And then probably 5 minutes later, I was like, oh, now I found finally my thing there, and everything was all right again. And then, they made like necklace for me from trees, from the what do you call them, leaves, because my birthday is at the end of September, so it was beautiful autumn leaves, and I had like a little like necklace, and we had a fire, and we had some snacks and all of that stuff. So it's quite a happy memory actually from that day. And I really remember it quite fondly.
That's lovely. Oh, you paint such a beautiful picture. That joy. I can imagine all of you in the car getting all excited, and you haven't had any sugar yet, so ready for the off. And and it's interesting. There's always something that you remember that is your joy that links to your passion today. And I see you, as you say, you enjoy and remember the car that was decorated so that everybody would be paying attention to you and noticing you, and you were able to wave to them and kind of get their attention and attract them to you. And that, I'm assuming, is pretty much, not that you drive around in a car with balloons all over it, but you very much attract people to you because of what you do with your marketing. So at what point in your journey did you kind of go, maybe I'd like to do this? This is my thing. This is what I'm good
at. I didn't land on it so early. I actually, so I was very good at school, but I wasn't very good at a particular thing. So I had no idea what the hell to do with my life.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I decided that hospitality would be a good thing in that case, because you can travel and it's cool and people and all of that. And obviously I had no idea what I'm really into. So this is how I actually ended up in Switzerland, because my mom already was here because she got married to a Swiss guy. So it was sort of, logical for me to come here after I finished my high school. And I started my hospitality education. And after my first internship, I realized hospitality is not really for me, because I don't really like people all that much. I like people, don't get me wrong, but not in that particular setting on my terms, and in limited quantities and all of that. And you have to be really passionate about hospitality if you want to make it work. And that was really it was quite clear to me after the first year that it was not really that. But I didn't know what else it would be.
What things were you doing then? What was your hospitality? What were you doing? Were you waitressing or?
So the first internship was waitressing, basically breakfast and banqueting. So waking up really early, I had to be at work before 6. I think breakfast started at 6. That was brutal. And I didn't speak French properly, so that was another source of frustration. Second one I did in the guest relations. So it was like a sort of extension of the reception. So we dealt with all the crap.
Moaning.
And it was a hotel that opened for the first time. So it was a newly built hotel in Greece. And it was their first season, and there was a lot of stuff that was not finished or properly done. And we had a lot of heat from the guests. So I cried quite a few times there. But what hospitality really gave me is the ability to go the extra mile for people, or for people that I work with. And really that sort of customer experience, which I think is very transferable. And that's what I basically do for my clients now. So I did 3 internships hospitality wise, and took my experience and used it later. But then as I graduated, I got an internship by chance in a medical device company, in an American corporation that had basically a European headquarters in the town where I'm based.
Right.
And 6 months, that was a marketing communication internship actually. So that's where I was like, look at this. This is interesting. Right. This could be something that, might be good for me. Because I've always been interested in psychology and how people, relate to each other, how people behave, and how do they come up with whatever they do. So there was really a part of that, right, in the whole communication and marketing side. And basically that internship turned into an extended internship, turned into a temporary contract, turned into another one, and then permanent contract. And I basically did 8 years in that company in a variety of different positions, communication-wise, marketing-wise, doing events as well. So there's a lot of different sort of marketing and communication-related stuff that I've done on the European level. So that's where I was like, this seems to be the thing.
I love it when you people see it sometimes as a negative. It's like, well, I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I was at school. But then you go and try loads of different things just to find out.
Yes, I do. No, I don't like that. Oh, that was amazing, but that's not. But also, as you're on that journey, I think everyone that has their own business, that has clients and customers, should go into that sort of hospitality arena to learn how to deal with customer complaints and learn how to deal with that face-to-face aggressive, why haven't you done this? And that kind of, when you're trying to appease and please people, such a valuable transferable skill to be able to have. And then that magic moment when you kind of, nail it. It's like, okay, this is my thing. This is what I'm good at. Did you get told this is what you're good at? Or did you just kind of go, I'm a square peg in a square hole and I love it? Kind of realize it.
I had my communications director, when I would propose something that she found good, she would always say, okay, this is great, you should work in communications. I'm like, that's a great joke, thank you. So I think it was both. And I mean, the fact that they kept me on, and I moved around and tried different things, that sort of confirmed my idea that this must be something that is good for me. But I think I really discovered the real marketing once I actually left my corporate job, because that was a whole other story where that was just, the learning curve was very different once I was out on my own. And that was really just,
there is a lot to take on. Do you ever feel that you wished you hadn't left? Do you ever feel that? Oh, okay. No. I was going to let you think about it.
I've never looked back. I mean, if I never have to go back again, I will be very, very happy. Not that it was, it was horrible or anything. I don't have any trauma or, any bad experience really, but it's just, by the end of my time there, I just felt like it wasn't really resonating with me anymore, because I wasn't really feeling like I'm adding value or creating impacts that I can see. I was, getting my salary, I was doing something, I was busy, but it's like, well, what have I really changed in this month, And that was really not something that I was very comfortable with. And I was just lucky, because at that time I finished my master's in media and communication, and I thought, okay, I'm really interested in digital, I would love to do more of that. And it was not in the environment that was actually possible, because medical devices very regulated. You have a lot of compliance stuff, legal stuff, and Twitter is not a thing, or at least at that time in 2014. So I just realized it was not possible there. And then they decided to move our office to Amsterdam. And said, well, if you'd like to go, let's discuss, and if you don't, then you're out. And I said, wonderful, I'll take option 2, thank you very much. And that's what I did. So that was actually very good timing for me. I was very, very happy with that.
So you didn't actually have to go, right, I'm off, I'm going. You were kind of given the opportunity to go, rather than take.
I don't know if I would have, actually. I think I'm the sort of person who will wait for a sign of some sort. I will stay in the same state for a while until I really cannot take it. Like I'm very persistent, which I think is a great quality, but it has a darker side where I'm persistent in the wrong place for way too long. So I think if it wasn't that situation, I would have probably stayed for a while, and probably wouldn't be a good thing for me. So I don't know if I would have made that choice myself if it wasn't, presented to me this way.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because we can always join the dots looking backwards, can't we? And you can look back and see that you weren't quite satisfied, you weren't quite enjoying it as much as you used to. You were doing what the doing required, but there was no heart in what you were doing. So had you stayed, a friend of mine calls it a fur-lined rut. You're in this rut, but it's so comfortable and so fur-lined. It's like, oh, I'll stay here for a little bit longer. And you were so sort of comfy in that had it not come up this opportunity. I mean, some people might have just said, all right, I'll move to Amsterdam, because it's this safety blanket of what you know. And to go out into business on your own is the unknown. And as you say, learning curve, steep or what? I mean, it's two worlds, isn't it? Chalk and cheese.
Well, I didn't know that's what was gonna happen to me, actually. I just basically said, okay, we are gonna part ways.
Yeah.
And then I started looking for jobs because that's all I knew. I mean, I was happy in a 9 to 5. I like the stability and, you know, that sort of predictability of things. But then I had a few interviews where, you know, I knew I could do the job, but I just felt a little bit like, I don't think I can do this. Like I felt this really like sick to my stomach in a way. And I'm like, okay, I don't think I can really make this step again. I mean, it sounds like it's going to be the same thing, just in a different setting, but sort of the same.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, but like, what do I do if not this? And I was doing, and like Switzerland has a very good unemployment system where they basically send you to do some sort of training to, you know, enhance your prospects of getting a job. And I had 6 months at a sort of, it's not a startup incubator, but something similar where they help people to do something of their own, maybe become consultants or whatever that is. And this is where I thought, okay, this might actually be, I mean, it sort of came from there. Like the idea didn't come from the inside of me, but I was sort of looking, what are the options?
Yeah.
And there I was like, all right, so this is my starting sort of point or platform where I can start doing this, because they offered some trainings on the subject and how do you do this and that. And that's where I launched essentially at the end of that 6 months. I had a presentation at one of the last general meetings. They did like a monthly thing where everyone gathered and some presentations from previous participants and whatnot. And I basically said, oh, this is ECAT communication. This is what I'm going to do. 10 minutes speech. And, you know, I had all my branding worked out by then. I had no idea what I'm doing, but I still did it.
It looked
and
good.
That's essentially how I kicked the whole thing off, and haven't looked back, even though it's been...
Yeah, but you know, if you talk to anybody who starts their own business, year one, I always say, this is what I think I've written this in my book as well. Year one is like, I've got my own business, this is fantastic. And year two is like, okay, I've got my own business, this is great, but it's becoming a bit of a slog. And year three is like, oh my God, I've got my own business, when is it going to get easier? And then you kind of come out the other end. And year four is like, I can't imagine doing anything else. This is the best thing I ever did. And who said anything worthwhile is easy? It isn't. And to be honest, most of running a business is common sense. But
surprisingly,
there's a lot of work involved, and people think that they see on YouTube and stuff, it's like, hey, you can have this career and earn this money while you're asleep, and all you've got to do is ABC.
How to get high-paying clients if you've never even done whatever you're doing before. I love that one, yes.
It's crazy, isn't it? And that's not reality at all. Reality is you have to work flipping hard and long hours. But if you're doing what you love doing,
that's worthwhile.
You don't mind so much, do you?
Yes.
It's if you're in a factory and you're working long hours doing work for somebody else, and it's repetitive and it's boring and it's not stretching you, and you're not feeling valued, seeing value, or helping other people, your soul just shrivels up and dies. But the minute you're doing something for yourself, there's urgency.
And meaningful.
You've got to put food on the table, but it's meaningful. But also when you start getting clients that you look back and go, oh, I did a good job.
Not bad. Look at me.
And yeah, and then when other people start going, you're amazing, you're fantastic, it makes you go, okay, I'm in the right place, I'm doing the right thing. I mean, I found my thing by accident, because we had a business. So me and my husband had our original business, which was office supplies, and we had a business coach, and it was the business coach that told me to be a business coach. And I was like, what? Do you mean I could do this? He went, yeah, anyone can do this. I went, okay. So I went off to get trained, and then I realized how much I did actually know from running my own business to be able to help other people. And that was when I felt like a square peg in a square hole. It was like, oh, this is amazing.
Finally.
Yeah, exactly. It's that word, isn't it? Finally. So interestingly, you kind of, circumstances have manipulated you into this space. But how long ago was that?
So I've been self-employed for over 7 years now. So it's been a while.
It's not an accident anymore, is it?
No, it's intentional. Well, there is a question like, are you doing it because you fell into it and it's sort of you love it, or I don't know? But yeah, I feel like this is the right thing for me, and I've had all sorts of different situations and stages and phases where it was just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But also when you come out of that and you have clients that are happy and you're like, oh, look at this, I can do this, like I'm pretty cool, okay. And then, you know, again you're like, bah. So it's quite you have to manage yourself emotionally, I guess, quite a bit, and have the support system. I guess that's again one of the reasons why I joined, is because you need to have people around, especially people who understand what you're going through, because not everyone does, obviously, because they don't do the same. I mean, they can be empathetic, but they don't really know.
No, that's so true. And I think people acknowledge that it is an up and down journey. There's going to be days that are awesome, and there are going to be days that are rubbish. And you're going to wonder, why did I start this? Why am I getting out of bed this morning? And it's really difficult. My line that I always use when everything gets a little bit tough, you know, those days, I think we've all had them, good listener. We've always had them where the tech isn't quite going your way, where the password that you thought you knew is no longer accepted.
How about yesterday?
Yeah, exactly. Or where you have a power cut when you're just about to have a meeting, or where so many things can go wrong, and it just gets emotionally exhausting and stressful. So what I generally say to myself is like, all right, Jill, don't do it. Walk away. Go on holiday. Take a walk. Don't do any work. Don't run your business. Just and I give myself permission to go, I'm going to go and work in the supermarket and be on the cash desk and do something like that. And I sit there for like 30 seconds and go, no, I want to do this. This bit's getting in the way, but the rest of it is lovely. I can't give up. So for me, I'm on the right path. No matter how difficult it gets, I don't think I'm going to ever give up, because I just want to get past the tricky stuff that's called life. You know, like I've had a cold, and so now I'm running a bit behind, and so I have an email inbox of about 400 emails, which makes me feel slightly uneasy. But it's like, this is just what happens. It's life, you know. And in maybe 5 years' time, somebody else will be answering my emails, but also I quite like answering my emails. So it's just finding that balance, isn't it, between what we love doing and what's part of who we are. So I'm imagining after 7 years, you're getting your handle together. You know that marketing is your mojo, your secret sauce, the stuff that I can do this, and I'm blooming good at this.
And it's incredible, because there are some things like that are just so natural for me, and then I work with clients and I'm like, it's not natural to other people, and it makes me feel so good, because you think like, oh, but this is sort of basic stuff and it's, you know, no brainer, and that and this, and then you're like, well, actually it is a no brainer because you've done it for so long and this is what you live and breathe, but it's really not that at all for other people. So this is why they need you. So it's it makes you feel good when it's something that you somehow, I mean, it's not always coming super naturally so easily, and I always know the answers, like nobody does, right? But like there is that bit that I really enjoy, and it makes me feel alive, and I love to develop it, and I love to grow and learn more, and I think that's a pretty good sign that I'm in the right place.
Yeah, which doesn't mean to say that in 10 years' time that might have just moved slightly, you know, like life changes and things, but the knowledge and experience you're getting now from running your business, and it might be maybe in 10 years' time that you're teaching other people how to be Cat Junior, and for them to start businesses, that might be your thing going forward. But for now, it's just having fun, getting it set up, getting known, and helping as many people as you can. So everyone that I've come across that does marketing has a kind of little niche going on, whether it's LinkedIn specialist or lead generation or SEO, or who are the sort of people that might be coming to you? And well, not so much who are the people that are coming to you, but who are the people you like, you enjoy, have fun with, and enjoy working with? Who are those sort of people?
So when I left corporate back in 2015, scary to say, so almost it's going to be 10 years soon. So basically decided that once I didn't want to go back to corporate anymore, and I said, okay, I'm doing this self-employed thing. I was sure that I wanted to work with smaller businesses. So I started working with local businesses here, small, whatever, 5-10 people, sometimes, maybe a partnership. And it was B2B, it was B2C, it was products, it was services. I was really sort of finding my way and trying to figure out where do I fit and what can I do best and what do I like. So very quickly I realized that products are not exciting me at all. I feel like I have nothing to do there as a marketer. I mean, obviously there are lots of things to do, but not for me. Then, so I focused on the service providers. And then I realized that I didn't want to keep up with all the social networks that come with marketing, because I was actually offering initially some social media services. So I was, I was active on Facebook, I was active on Instagram, I was on LinkedIn. So obviously to keep up with all of that stuff, I'm like, I don't want to be a slave to social media. So let me focus just on one platform. And really, I knew that I'm very good with relationship building. And for me, that was really LinkedIn. And this is where I focused more on the B2B side. So people generally selling to companies or organizations, or just active on LinkedIn as, in the professional realm. So those were the smaller companies. And then probably about, I don't know, 2 years at least, maybe more ago, I sort of niched down to work with coaches and consultants. So really one-man show. So my small businesses have really drastically shrunk to 1-2 people shows, because I felt like this is really that size where I feel the most comfortable. I like the human interaction, like really, you can really get to know the person. It's not so formal. It's really, you can be authentic, you can be yourself, you can really make things go quickly because the person is the only one to decide. They don't need to ask a committee or whatever. And it was really those people and the way that they do their work, helping employees and helping professionals to lead better professional lives and better personal lives is what really attracted me to them. And I thought, okay, I really would like to be around those sort of people because, again, I'm big on self-development. I read a lot, and there was really something like, okay, I really resonate with these people. So I have niched down to coaches and consultants 2-3 years ago. And now I have niched down even further to coaches and consultants who are in a transition or who need to pivot because something in their circumstances have changed and they need to basically reposition themselves and figure out again how to attract clients and how do they talk about themselves, what are they offering. So really I'm sort of holding their hands in that transition and helping them to design that plan of attack, so to speak, to attract and nurture and convert their clients.
Yeah, it's like you've got your micro niche going on there. That's brilliant. That could be so powerful. So many people are wary of niching into an area because they go, yeah, but I can help anyone. And it's like,
we all can.
Exactly. The person that wants to work with you doesn't want to work with somebody that can help anyone. They want to work with somebody that is really good at helping them. You want to go to a specialist in your arena. You want to feel like they know you. You want to feel like they understand.
I really understand. And especially I feel that now we have such a busy market, both on the coaching and consulting side, but also on the marketing side. As you said, so many people are doing so many different things. So one way to differentiate yourself is actually to say, this is what I stand for, this is who I work with, and this is how I help them, because then you're not comparing basically apples to oranges, you're some sort of other fruit that is picked because of its special flavor, right?
Yes, yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, absolutely. So what part of the marketing is your secret sauce? What do you love? Is it the strategy? Is it I mean, if somebody was to come to you and say, could you do my marketing for me? Are you going to be like, yeah, or are you going to be like, I'll get you going, but I'll do the strategy? So I know different people have different ways of working. What's your go-to thing?
So my superpower is bringing structure, clarity, and focus to marketing. So really focusing on the fundamentals of who are they working with, how are they positioning themselves, what are they offering, and how are they talking about their offer, and how do they structure that offer that is really responding to those specific needs of their ideal clients, and then working with them to identify those points of contact. How are we attracting those people? Where are we finding them? How are we taking them through that customer journey so that they actually decide to work with us? And then so I do both the strategy and then this sort of the customer journey part. I really hold their hand at every step of the way, where, you know, we work on their templates, we work on the content, we work, even if they decide to, I don't know, do a masterclass for their group program, we really, you know, I help them with the masterclass slides, I'll help them with the prep for it, I help them with the follow-up emails and stuff like this. So really there is both sides of the story, but it's a limited support time. So I do it over 10 weeks, which basically gets them started and gets them going, gets them into the routine, but then they take it and they run with it for the rest of their lives. They can always come back for some other stuff, but it's really just to get them sorted with everything that they need to keep it going on their own. Because I don't do the outsourcing stuff. Like, I will not take your content and write it for you, like, because you have all the knowledge in your mind, and you have your own way of expressing yourselves. And I see my role as getting all of that value out of the person and putting it on paper and putting all of those insights and making them very clear to them, and having that sort of one source of truth, having the plan, having all the routines in place, and then, you know, they go and basically they're empowered to do all that on their own.
Well, you just said something that I think you should have all over your marketing. It's, I will find you your one source of truth. That's powerful, isn't it? You know, if somebody thinks, well, I do this and I do this and I do this, and I want to get these kind of clients, I'm not really, you're going to say, right, for 10 weeks, we're going to work on your one source of truth. And when you've got that clarity, then you can go. And for people to know it's just 10 weeks, they have to work, because you've got to be gone in 10 weeks and you won't be able to hold their hand anymore. So they need to really understand it and get it together. So I think what you've got is a real diamond there, because so many people, or marketing people, like to have a client infinite. It's like, you know, it goes on and on and on and on and on, and you just get comfortable with each other to the extent that you get lazy with each other. So there's no real production coming out, and you get average results all the time. I used to have coaching clients that went on for like 18 months or 2 years, and after a while I'm like, you're doing my PR no good, because you're not doing what I'm asking you to do, or we've agreed that you're going to do, or we've discussed and found out that you're going to do, and you're actually failing every single month because, oh, I was a bit busy, Jill, oh, I didn't get around to it, so sorry. Oh, you know,
that's not serving them either, right?
No, so I'd have to sack them, which was really hard. So now I realize the optimum time for me is to work for 9 months with someone. So every single month you have a half day together, you get really tight on what's going to happen in the following month, and they go and they get that done with some support in between on that as well. But the minute 9 months is up, it's like, you know what you're doing, off you go.
It's like you're giving birth to them.
And then maybe in 18 months after that, we can start again and top up and go to the next level and see where they're at. Or they can try and work with someone else and see how that works for them. There's
like it's healthier for...
Yeah, and I think that's brilliant. Rather than that, you know, I'll hold your hand all the way forever and ever because you're paying me money every single month. It doesn't quite hang on. I like that. But that
doesn't serve anyone.
I like that phrase, one source of truth.
I don't think I have ever said it before, but I sort of like that it resonates. I'm going to take a note.
Yes. I'll make that the title of this podcast so you don't forget, all right? Kat will find you the one source of truth. And it is, most people are searching for that. They don't realize what their purpose is. They don't realize what their mission is. They don't realize what their genius is and what they're good at. They don't realize who their ideal customer is. All of these things, they're just in the dark. And they think they've got an idea and they've sold some stuff and they're jogging along. And the first 6 months were brilliant because they already had contracts from the corporate world that they'd lived in before, and they thought that's how it went. And then all of a sudden they dry up and it's like, what do I do now? And they have no concept because they don't have a marketing department that they can go and turn to. They've been in the corporate world and they've come out trying to be a coach or a consultant, and realizing,
it's hard. It's
it's
hard.
unless you come to that realization. And that's what I like about your story, is that you've been exploring and trying things out, and then when the opportunities have come, you've gone, yes, I'll have that, thank you very much, and yes, I'm going to try that. And you've just moved up that step, up that step, up that step, so that you're taking each piece and working it. So this is good for me, I like it's good for me. And probably along the way you've had 1 or 2 steps down and gone, oh, I won't do that again. That's not so great.
I definitely, my services have evolved since I started. I mean, I started with website creation services, with social media and personal branding, and I didn't like any of them. So, but because I tried a lot of different things and I worked with a variety of people, it was really, oh, this I really enjoyed, or this bit of this project, it was really enjoyable, but this one was, and I can bring more value here because, you know, naturally this is what comes easy for me, or whatever, I have the experience, but this one is actually, I can leave it to somebody who is actually specialized. And this is how basically I have landed on what I'm doing now, is through trial and error, and really, yeah, understanding where am I bringing the biggest value and listening to feedback. So yeah. Experience is definitely the best teacher.
Yeah, absolutely. And what is the fact that you've tried all those different things as well gives you experience in that. So when you do farm it out to somebody else or delegate it to somebody else, I also know
what to look for.
You know what they're supposed to be doing.
Yes.
So you've got that affinity, rather than go, oh, here's my client, go and look after them and do a website for them, without actually knowing what they're going to be doing, and then go, actually, they've been going on for 3 months now, surely it shouldn't take that long. You've got that insight because you've been there and you've done that. And there's a book out there called The E-Myth by
yes. Oh, I love it.
Michael, what's his name?
Gerber.
Thank you, Michael Gerber. And he tells a story about how somebody got too busy because they were too successful, which is a lovely place to be. So started delegating work, but not realizing what the people they were delegating to were actually doing. So when their manager left, they were lost because the manager hadn't put any processes in place or any systems in place. So that's the biggest thing. If you're going to systemize your business, make sure that you are part of that process, so you know exactly what's happening, so you can refer back to it and build your business so that it is systemized and processed to the hill. And that way it's successful, in as much as if you change your mind and you want to do something else, it's a sellable product. You have something that's really valuable because your systems are in place and someone can replicate the success that you have had.
Even for yourself, I mean, that was one of the biggest realization I've had, probably later than I should have had. But a few years in, I was like, I don't really have anything on paper or anything written down. I'm sort of doing things over and over again, almost from scratch. And I'm like, this is stupid. let me do something about it. And, you know, I love templates now for myself. I love, you know, checklists and all of that, because it keeps you, like, you think you know, but you actually don't. And you know, if you haven't done something for months, good luck remembering what it was that you did and in which order and how often and whatever. So yeah, I mean, this is a big thing for me to have. And this is one of the things that we work on with my clients, is to have those systems and processes in place to keep them on the track, because you would be surprised how many people actually have aversion to marketing, or hate it, or are scared of it, or have some other negative association with it. And I think keeping it simple and sort of streamlined and somehow, you know, ring-fenced, I think it really helps to make peace with it and make it easier and less overwhelming, because I think it's just that idea for people that, you know, they need to be doing a lot and they need to be doing it every day and all day, and then I don't know what to focus on. But when you have an identified range of activities that you know you're doing them for this particular reason at this particular stages, and this is how much I dedicate time for it, and this is the tools that I'm using, it's a lot easier. And then when you start seeing the results, you're actually more motivated to keep on going, which is where a lot of people don't get to because of all the steps that they're missing.
And also they think being busy is what it's about, and you can very easily be a busy fool in marketing. You know, been there, done that. And I think one of the things I learned a few years ago now through Richard Woods was focus on one thing. So it's one platform, one product, and keep it really simple, and just narrow it down. It's a bit like niching, isn't it? But if you keep it clear and simple, I think you said that earlier, it's structure and clarity, then you're not going to go far wrong. If someone were doing their own marketing, what would be the top tip that you would give them to be able to give them that clarity around, like, oh, I was doing that and I shouldn't be doing that, or I forgot to do that, or I didn't do that? What would you say would be the one thing that you find gets results?
Well, what I feel a lot of people are missing is the consistency. So even if they try something, they don't try it long enough to see the results. And it might be a wrong thing, right? But you would not know it until you have done it for at least a month or 2 months.
And you can't discount it, and you can't get rid of it.
And then you can say, okay, I can stop this because I have really given it my full effort. I have really been consistent. I have done this as I have committed to it, and it doesn't seem to produce the results. Let me review what else I can do. But a lot of people give up too quickly, and they're too scattered and trying too many things to actually see the benefits, because marketing is not a short-term thing, right? Like, it takes time to build, and because usually the people that I work with are selling something that is rather high ticket, right? So it's not a chocolate bar that you can just decide to buy because you feel like it. It's really an investment for people. So it takes time for them to understand that they have a problem, look for solutions, evaluate you, see if you fit in how you're doing things, or just resonating with them. Then the timing has to be right. So between the time they realize that they have a problem and the time they buy from you, it can be a few months, if sometimes not years. So obviously you're not going to wait for years to see the results or evaluate your strategy, but you have to give it a little bit of time. So the consistency, in my experience, is the number one that's missing, and that's preventing people from actually having any results at all.
Yeah, it's very easy for us to go like, oh, that didn't work. It's like, it's not my fault. Nothing to do with me. I've tried it and it didn't work. How long did you try it for? Oh, at least a week. Really? Okay.
And also, did you do the right thing? It's like, oh, I don't know, connecting on LinkedIn with people doesn't work. And I'm like, well, how did you do it? And the devil is also in the details, right? Like, you can connect in one way and people will respond, and in the other way people will say, what a spammer, please go away. So there's also that point that, have you done it in the right way? But that's a whole other story.
Yeah, there's so much to it, isn't there? It's not just the do this and you get this result, because otherwise everybody would be doing it.
Exactly. And this is the reason why I hold their hands, because I realized, when previously I was doing the strategy, we sort of stopped at we would map out the customer journey, they would know what to do at different stages, and then they would go and implement. But what I realized, that a lot of them, due to whatever was going on for them, or whatever limiting beliefs they had, or whatever it might be, they just actually didn't. And you would talk to them in 6 months' time, and they are very happy about what we did. It's a lot of clarity, there's a lot of structure, but nothing is happening. And I'm like, okay, I need to do something about that, because this is where the rubber meets the road. If you're not implementing what you have worked out, and this beautiful strategy that is the best in the world, if you don't implement it, there's no value to it.
Worst in the world. Yeah. And there must be a hell of a lot of people out there that have a strategy and don't follow it, or have a strategy and don't. And as you say, there's little gaps in the way that prevent them from it being coherent and actually working. It's a science, isn't it, to a certain extent? But a science
and an art.
And an art, absolutely. But also it's building relationships, and that's about people. So if you're not a people person, if you feel yourself to be left-brained, introvert, not outgoing, that might be making you feel like you can't do this.
Yes.
But actually, if you follow the steps and you follow the guidelines, it doesn't really matter whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. It's building those connections with people that, if you understand, they need you. So why would you give up when they need your help?
And it's also not about you and you sort of banging your chest about how great you are, because I think a lot of people actually have that misconception of this is what marketing is.
Yeah.
And it's not at all. I mean, it's the contrary. I mean, you still have to position yourself, but it's not a lead into the relationship or the conversation. Nobody cares about who you are until you actually have something relevant to say, right? So if you, and I've noticed it's also a lot about the mindset, right? So really lots of limiting beliefs about marketing. And I even started calling what I do marketing therapy, because I really help to sort of deal with those limiting beliefs around marketing, where people think, oh, who am I to talk online? Or, I don't want to pester people and I don't want to come across as needy or that. And then I'm like, it's valid concern. I like you coming from that place because you don't want to disturb people, but at the same time, it very much depends how you do it. There is a nice way to do it. There's a way to do it that is respectful, but effective, and it takes care of your needs, and it also takes into account their needs. So it's really sort of shifting that mindset to it's possible and it's fine, and there's just a way to find it that works for me and works for the person that I'm trying to attract.
Yeah.
So lots of mindset work, surprisingly, in marketing.
You really bring up a good point about people with a mindset that don't want to be visible. They want people to know about them, but they don't want to be visible. And you can tell them a million times, you should be doing A, B, or C, and if it's not their thing, they're not going to do it. But it's finding what is their thing, because there will be something that is their thing, and they can go down that road and feel comfortable being visible through words on, say, Medium, or audio on not WhatsApp, what's the conversation one, or audio on LinkedIn, or visible on a YouTube channel or something. If you're not into video, then there's other things that you can do, but you have to do something. You can't.
And I also think it's important to remember that you're there as a business. Like, if I didn't have a business to run, I don't think I would be spending as much time on LinkedIn creating content or interacting with people. I mean, I enjoy it, but I enjoy it also with a reason. And if I didn't have to do it for business, you wouldn't find me there. So there is that point. Well, if you want to have a business, there are some certain things that you have to get comfortable with. Again, like you said, it has to be aligned with yourself and in a format that you're comfortable with. But there is a way, if you want the results, this is the game you have to play. If you don't want to play it, then it's a choice, and that's also fine, right? So sometimes it's just a decision. I will invest in my business because I want to grow it.
Yep.
That's great. Or I'm fine like this. I'm relying on referrals, and it's all up and down, and I'm freaking out every quarter because I had a busy one and now there's nothing.
Yeah.
It's a personal choice, and it's fine. And then you decide how you would like to do it, and either you get help or you continue the way that you want. But you cannot have it all. In this sense, I think you have to. There are some trade-offs to be had, and it can be also a growth opportunity, I find, right? Like getting outside of your comfort zone in that sense. Learning a new skill, how to write better, how to present yourself, how to be on video, whatever that might be. I mean, there's so many things that I have learned during these 7 years. I mean, my corporate career in comparison is just like, it's nothing. It was really, 10 times more challenging, more interesting, more stimulating.
Yeah, you make a good point, because coming out of your comfort zone, I think we all have to push ourselves out occasionally, even if you get pushed from behind and you're not doing it yourself. I got pushed from behind when in my first business, the office supplies, we agreed that I was going to go networking, and I didn't have a clue what networking was. And I spent the first 6 weeks going to BNI meetings, trying to get out of it and not join, because I didn't really want to join. And eventually I had to join. And then within a matter of weeks, I was running the chapter, and within a matter of months, I was running the region, and within a matter of 18 months, I was speaking around the world through because of BNI. And I would never have seen that coming. And if I allowed myself to go, I'm not going to do this. I don't. It feels uncomfortable. I don't want to do. I don't want to stand up and do a 60-second pitch. What's that all about? I wouldn't have had the career that I've had now. And to go networking is still not my favorite thing to do when you're talking to strangers who are putting on this false front of like, yeah, my business is fantastic. You should do business with me. I'm amazing. And I'm like, oh, you're exhausting me. I want to know the person behind the business. And I think that can be done more easily in other areas, but sometimes you've got to start somewhere. And a networking meeting, whatever one it happens to be, a 4N or BNI or Women in Business or Athena or whatever is out there, sometimes you've got to go through the pain barrier to understand what you're saying that comes out of your mouth. Is that congruent with who you are and what your business is about? So you fall flat on your face sometimes and you make mistakes, but it's a great learning curve to be there.
For sure. And I think you cannot avoid personal growth if you have your own business. My favorite quote by James Clear is something along the lines, I'm not sure I will be quoting him exactly, but a business is sort of having a profitable business or something is a personal growth engine disguised as a business pursuit, something like this. And I thought, oh, this is just so true. Like, I'm not a huge quote fan. Like, you would never hear me citing anyone, but this thing, I should probably learn it because I like it so much that I can actually deliver it with the same impact that it makes
on your wall behind your computer so you can say it a lot.
Exactly. But I just feel if you are not open to some sort of discomfort and trying things where you don't know what the hell you're doing and failing and being, not succeeding for several times or, trying something completely new, you shouldn't be doing that because there is no other way, I think. I mean, you cannot, it's like sometimes people say, I hate all the selling and marketing. I just wish that I could do the thing that I do. And I said, well, there is a job for that. I don't really think there is another choice. I mean, sure, there are happy, lucky individuals who get their referrals and, for years they have been on the market and they don't need to do any sales and marketing. I know those people, but they're far and few in between. And for the majority of the population who is self-employed, that is not an option.
Yeah.
So you have to make peace with it somehow and find a way for it to work for you and find a way to make it enjoyable. And I really do believe that marketing can be fun, and I try to make it fun for my clients. And I'm just simplifying and make it as enjoyable as possible.
Probably the secret to good marketing is making sure you are connected to a good marketing person who can coach you and help you get through it. And at least then this is your route to market, and whether you stay with them for the eternity because you don't want to let go of your safety blanket, or whether you have your 10-week session and you get on with it. But when you've got somebody showing you going, yes, that's right, oh, well done, that worked, didn't it, let's do that again, you're encouraged. When you do it on your own, it's like, oh, I don't know if this is going to work. And like you say, you don't do it consistently because you're nervous and you're scared about the outcome, and you don't feel confident that you're going to be able to create anything. And when it doesn't happen, oh, well, didn't think that was going to happen.
And then there is the shiny object syndrome that is also a big part of it. And then people saying, you should be doing automation and you should be doing this and you should be on TikTok because everyone is there and you should be this and this and that. Like, this is my pet peeve. I'm like, you should not be doing anything that people are telling you unless you have really figured out that it makes sense for you, because this is where your people are and this is what they're responding to. So it's in a way, it's a very logical process for me. I mean, it's simple in a sense, not easy, but definitely simple, right? So know your people and your marketing is going to be already 80% there.
Well, on that note, I think that's a really lovely place to leave it, because if everyone works out, if you're listening to this and you're in business, do you know your people? That's your first step. Go and have a look and work out who it is you're selling to, where they hang out, what they're like, and the language that they use. And you're, as Kat has just said, you're 80% there. Kat, thank you for that. That's a whistle-stop tour of what you're passionate about and why you love what you do. And I'm so pleased. Where do you see yourself, in the future? What's your kind of mission in life, or have you not quite got to that space in your day yet?
I think it's a bit lofty at
I
this
love
stage.
lofty.
I sort of I subscribe to more agile planning for myself. So I don't have big plans yet. I would like to keep doing what I'm doing with more people. I have discovered the group side of things, delivering my programs to smaller cohort groups, which has been very enjoyable and I think has a lot of value. So probably developing in that direction more and diving maybe into more do-it-yourself side of things to offer something that is more affordable.
Yeah.
But these are sort of some ideas. It's not necessarily a mission, but I just want to work with people who are doing this hard stuff on their own and help them do it better and in a more enjoyable way.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. That's all we can do, isn't it? If we know people that want to help other people and have the ability to do it, we're the ones that can support them to get into that groove. So thank you so much for your conversation, Kat. I really enjoyed it.
Very enjoyable. Thank you.
And yes, I am slightly jealous of what you can look out of your window onto. Maybe one day I should do a tour and pop in and see you. That would be lovely.
I would love to show you around Montreux for sure. I mean, this is a beautiful place. It's definitely worth a visit.
Thank you. And if you want to meet Kat, you can. She's usually at our guest sessions at Collaboration Global. They're always on the last Tuesday of the month. You can find them by going to collaborationglobal.org and booking through there, or go onto Eventbrite and look for Collaboration Global and you will find the booking link and you can come along to one of our sessions.
Yes.
Kat, the easiest way for people to connect up with you if they want to have a chat, what's the easiest way?
Probably LinkedIn. You just look for Ekaterina Zwyssig. I am the only one in the world with this name, so you're not gonna miss me.
Okay, and you can find that on all the show notes. So yeah, LinkedIn is a good place to connect.
To start.
Yeah. Thank you again, and we look forward to speaking to you again soon. Okay.
Lovely. It has been extremely enjoyable. Thank you for your wonderful, insightful questions, and yeah, I look forward to more of Collaboration Global.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Cheers.